And we are back with London Real. I am Brian Rose. Today we welcome Mr. Timothy Livewire Sheaf, who is considered the best free runner currently in the world. That's quite an honor, and it's one that was passed to him from Sebastian Foucan, who was a free runner we had on the show about 3 months ago. This is the guy that starred in the James Bond movies, that toured with Madonna, and in a way it seems that he's kind of passed the torch on to the younger generation. Tim is 24 years old, which makes him our youngest guest ever on London Real, which is met on the other end by 96-year-old Jacques Fresco. That's quite a contrast, as you can imagine. But Timothy is kind of the younger generation of free runners, and he even described it himself. It was like Sebastian laid the groundwork, and Tim's generation is the one that are actually starting to make money from this sport. Tim's won many of the competitions around the world. He's traveled around the world. But Tim actually is taking it to another level, as in he's trying to find ways of adopting free running into other forms of art. And one of the series that really stood out for me, in fact, the reason he's really on the show is that he created a series called Life in a Handstand. And it's Tim in various scenarios going to the tube, cleaning up his house, but he's doing everything in a handstand. And he had one episode where he actually was homeless in a handstand, and it really it spoke to me a lot. He cries on cue, he pisses on himself, and it was just like, I don't know, it was really kind of heavy, and I was like, you know, there's something special in this kid, and he's a very introspective guy and thinks about his role in the greater community of free running, which can be a very selfish sport. And he's a vegan, and he's got a lot of other very interesting things to say, things that I might expect out of a 34-year-old or a 44-year-old. So I really think you're going to enjoy him. He is the most watched free runner on YouTube. He's actually just signed a deal with YouTube to produce 25 hours of content, which he will be displaying this year on a new channel called Flow. So very exciting stuff. I think you're going to enjoy him a lot. We have a new sponsor here at London Real, and we're really excited to work with them. It is the company called Hover, and they are a domain name management company, and they do business in an ethical way. I really like the way these guys look at the consumer, as in you are not a chance to make as much money as possible, but they believe in providing a fair service at a fair price and not constantly trying to upsell you. They offer things like the Who Is privacy for domain names. For example, if you register, say, New York City Real and want to do your own podcast, you don't have to worry about your own personal address getting out there. For free, they offer that protection, and most domain services will actually charge for that. Another thing they offer is customer service from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. where you're never put on hold. This is the kind of thing I wish I had in London. If I could tell you how many gray hairs I have, and I have a lot, that have happened basically being on hold for Virgin while I'm waiting to sort out my internet access. And, these guys believe you should talk to a real human on the phone when you call. And, I love doing business with guys like this where I can honestly say I back these people and I back the way they're doing business. And I just want to send a message out to the companies that aren't doing business that way that, you know what, we're going to send our business to guys at Hover, because they know how to treat us and we can treat them fair in return. So I'm really excited to have them. If you want to check them out, you can go to hover.com/London Real, and you'll get 10% off your service. But more importantly, you'll be sending them a message that that you support us as a podcast and you actually support companies that like doing business that way. So if you want to go check them out, please do. If you want to make me happy, register your domain, which is Your City Real, and then send me a pilot episode as a podcast, and that'll put a big smile on my face. We've got 5 so far. I just spoke with Jack down in Melbourne, Australia, I think a couple nights ago. He's doing Melbourne Real. We've got the guys from Wichita Real, Austin Real, Winnipeg Real, and Twin Cities Real. And I think we should get another 5 more of those reels in the next month or two. So please make that happen. Our other sponsor is the makers of Alpha Brain. This is the guys, CEO Aubrey Marcus and the guys over at Onnit Labs. Another company that we believe in. We like what they're doing, They provide a fair product. If you don't like it, you can send it back and get your money back, no questions asked. And they provide nootropics like Alpha Brain and other products like Shroom Tech Sport, which have the cordyceps mushrooms that Nick and I use and we really like. And again, we like the way they do business. So we're sending a message out there to everybody saying, let's try to do business like this, and we're going to reward the companies that do. So if you want to check out Alpha Brain, you want to learn about the science behind it, come to londonreal.tv, click on the banner ad, you'll go right to Onnit Labs, and you can check out all their stuff. They got the Hemp Force protein. Hell, they got Battle Ropes, which I was using today. So I'm a big fan of all those products. Last thing, I want to give a shout out to Kevin White. He has 2 shows on YouTube. One is called The Kevin White Show, and one is called Uncut Sports. I really like his sports channel because it's a real grassroots way. They look at MMA, they look at American football, but they just call things how they see it, and it's a real guys show. And I spoke to Kevin. He was a big fan of the Dorian Yates episode. He's a former bodybuilder himself, and he also is a comedian, and on his Kevin White show, he does comedy sketches, and he's also on iTunes as a podcast, or you can check out his YouTube channels. I'll have links right here below me. So big love out to Kevin in the States, and he's going to be promoting London Real to all his people. So that's all I got to say. As you know, you can always come say hello on Twitter. On Facebook, we've got a great group there called London Reelers. You can send me an email at info@londonreal.tv. I think I had about 6 or 8 volunteers this week. Thank you so much for that help. It's so needed in everything we do around here. And, of course, you can see all of our beautiful faces if you go to our YouTube channel at London Real TV. And the last thing, of course, iTunes reviews, they're like gold. They really move us up and keep us relevant. So thank you so much for that. And now I give you the youngest guest ever on London Real, Mr. Timothy Livewire Sheaf. Peace. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. This is Nick Gabriel. And joining us today is Mr. Tim Livewire Sheaf. He is a professional free runner and a parkour athlete, depending on who you ask. He was a winner of the 2009 Barclaycard World Free Run Championship. He's been on shows like MTV's Ultimate Parkour Challenge. And some people, Tim, say you're the most successful free runner in the world currently.
I wouldn't say that in the long term, maybe, but maybe short term. In the last few years, I've been definitely up there.
Well, welcome, first of all.
Thank you very much.
I was looking at a few videos, and we had Sebastian Foucault here, I think 3 months ago, and we had him on, and there's a video on there where you're talking about free run, and you're talking a bunch of like nonsense, and Sebastian walks up to you and he slaps you in the face, and he's like, "Just move." And then he takes a necklace off of his neck, and it's got the Storm Free Runner logo. It's like this piece of silver, and he puts it over Timothy's head.
It's white gold, actually.
It's white gold. Okay. And then you go on, and I was like, Jesus. I mean, is that him like passing the torch on to you? Are you the new generation of free running?
That was kind of the joke. Was that I was in Paris at the time and hit him up. I wanted him to show me some of the spots around Evry and Leith, where parkour was actually originated from.
Okay.
And I just hit him up, and he came down, and I was like, do you mind? I had this idea for this funny skit to start my show reel off, because I'm sick of all these free runners talking like they're philosophers, and really it's all about just going to move, just being like at one, turning your mind off and just going and being a kid again. And he was like, yeah, I dig that. Like, some of these people talk too much instead of just moving. So I was like, okay, how about you slap me? And we did like 10 takes. I was like, slap me harder, slap me harder. And we got a good slap finally, and I got him to pass the chain, which was kind of a joke. Like, there's no real ballers in free running, and I just kind of like the hip hop scene. I just like to be different. It wasn't like a showing off thing, but I just wanted to do something different that no one had done, that shows the community. You don't have to all wear cheap Primark sweatpants and baggy t-shirts and stuff. You can like try and look a little nicer or think about your image, and I just tried to switch it up a bit just to make people think, and that's why I got the chain made and got him to put it on me.
Wow. And that. So is the community kind of cliquey? Because I know like he had an original group that he was with, and then he kind of moved on to another group. And
yeah.
I mean, I guess every community is cliquey, even MMA and jiu-jitsu and everything. But
yeah, there's certain athletes that have their own following. It very much followed quite the skateboarding route. As if I watched Bones Brigade the other day, which was kind of the rise of skateboarders like Tony Hawk, and then just after the Z-Town Dogboy era, there was kind of the Bones Brigade era.
Okay.
And I think we're in that period. I think Sebastian and David Bell were kind of the Z-Town Dogboys beginning of parkour, and now we're in the Bones Brigade of skateboarding in this era. There's a bit more money involved. There's
Yeah.
more competitions around. There's people starting to sponsor you and put money into the clothing. To the trainers starting to be made, and that's so people are forming those groups where there's kids on the internet like, oh, I really like this guy, and I'm a really big fan of the way this guy moves, and start having these internet beefs, which are so pointless to begin with anyway.
Because the Dogtown and Z-Boing guys, I mean, these were the guys that were like on Venice Beach back in the day.
Yeah.
And they were skating when nobody even knew how to skate.
Yeah, not doing it for money, just doing it for the love.
For the hell of it.
Yeah.
And they were making surfboards look like skateboards, and they were doing the
Yeah.
swimming pools. But then later it became a money thing. Like Tony Hawk's was probably the first guy to make real money. in
Yeah,
skateboarding.
and then I think Stacey Peralta was one of the first. He came from Dogtown Z-Boy. He was like, oh, who are all the good kids right now that are like talented and passionate? He looked for the fire in their eyes, and that's when he got Tony Hawk and Steve Cabrera, I think his name is, and a few other. Rodney Mullen signed up at that point, and so now we're at that era where Sebastian and them only did it for the passion. I only did it for the passion. There wasn't really money in it to begin with. Now every kid coming up sees that we make money from it, so they automatically have that impression. I want to be professional. How can I make money like Livewire or like Sebastian from doing this? So we're in that era where every kid's got kind of a different motive for doing. Not every kid, because when I'm out there, I do see those kids that have the same fire in their eyes that I had when I began, and those are the ones that I really like to talk to, and I'll try and train with.
That's cool.
Is it pretty obvious right away, like who's doing it for the fun and who's doing it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious, because you get those kids that are like waiting for you to make eye contact. They're stood on the top of a ledge waiting for you to make eye contact, and then they'll jump as soon as you look, and you're like it's cool that they look up to you in that way, and you have to kind of like show them some love, but it's kind of, they want the attention from it, and you can see that's why they do it.
Wow. And how did you get to where you are now? I mean, that Barclay Card Championship was 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, 2009.
I mean, how did you get to be famous in this, or how did you...
Just always being different, always remain relevant in, like, that I see other people in the community that are still about now, but they've never changed anything. They've just done what worked in the beginning, and they've got the following from then. Whereas I'm always building the new following, like trying to switch it up, release new content. I did the series Life in a Handstand, where I went around doing everyday things that people can relate to that aren't free runners at all, but I did them in a handstand. Like I caught the subway in a handstand. And so every day people can watch that. I got quite over 100,000 views on YouTube, because people that go to work every day in London can relate to that. They go, oh, imagine if I was walking on the tube one day and I saw this guy trying to catch it in his hands. That'd be really, really cool. They can have a bit more, like I say, they can relate to it. They're kind of like Jackie Chan, but always put comedy into his films. And it wasn't just martial arts anymore. There was a story behind it, and everything he did, every tool that was in a kitchen that he was fighting in would be used in a different way that he hadn't seen before. And I'm trying to apply that mindset into freerunning, because everyone's seen freerunning on YouTube. Everyone knows what it is now, but they're bored of it. There's no reason for them to go back and watch new freerunning videos. Oh, check this new freerunning video. It's just some more kids jumping and flipping. It's boring now. There needs to be a theme behind it, and that's what I've always, in the last few years I've realised, and I've tried to do that, and that's really helped my profile stay relevant and on top.
Yeah, you guys should do something in like free running in a cage filled with hungry wild animals. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
people would tune into that.
Get
for
it,
sure,
yeah.
right?
Just need the budget or the director with the vision to help out.
I watched one of your videos this morning, and I think it was called The Power of Imagination, and you were pointing towards a walkway, and you were saying how, you have 2 arms and 2 legs and all these abilities, but you see this walkway, and we're so conditioned to believe that all we can do is walk down it.
Exactly.
And that really made me look at the world in a completely different way, and I wonder how many other things there are in life where there are so many other ways to approach it.
Yeah. That's my biggest theory now, is I realize, and I know I said earlier about the Sebastian slapping me saying, shut up, it's about moving and not philosophy. I got really into philosophy after that point, but I think I actually look into it a bit more than the other people that I see people in the parkour community preaching from a position where I'm like, dude, you don't really know anything about life. Like, not that I know anything about life, but I question everything. That's
but like some 11-year-old kid who's just learned how to do a backflip, and then he's telling people what they should do with their life.
They start preaching because
Interesting.
Tim, how old are you?
I'm 24.
You're our youngest guest ever on this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. Well, Fresco is our oldest at 96.
Oh, yeah, the 96-year-old.
That's quite a span. No, but part of that video Nick was talking about, it was weird because he looked at this, it was a stairs and a walkway, and almost without telling us as citizens, it's implied that you're supposed to do these things on this walkway, and you shouldn't ask questions, and you shouldn't ever do anything else on this walkway.
As soon as you do it differently, people get involved. Like they take it under responsibility. You're doing that wrong. You should get down. You're going to hurt yourself. Yeah. Because they were brought up somewhere to believe that. There's that story of a monkey down a well, and he climbed the ladder to get the banana, and any time he climbed the ladder, they threw a bucket of water on him. And then they put another monkey in there, and he tried to climb the ladder for the banana and threw a bucket of water on both of them. And then so eventually when a new monkey came in, he went to climb the ladder, the monkeys pulled down the monkey to stop him from getting the bananas, but he didn't know why he was being pulled down. So anytime they put in new monkeys, they'd all stop each other from climbing up, but then they didn't remember the real reason why they were stopping them. It was just conditioned into them.
We actually discussed that on our very first or second show, right? That exact same thing.
Is it? I don't remember exactly, but something like that.
The monkey story about how it was, I don't know if it was down a well, but what they had done is they conditioned these monkeys with some punishment, and then they took away the punishment, but the monkeys still wouldn't do the thing because they were so conditioned. And the new monkeys that they kept putting in didn't even know why they weren't supposed to climb up, but all the other ones had just stopped them because they had remembered that.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I think we probably all do it without even thinking about it, but I think in any society there's this conformity, like, you have to do it this way, otherwise what are you doing?
But how can we identify, so he's identified the walkway and moving through the urban terrain.
There's a few others I've identified that I think.
Tell us, I'd love to hear this stuff.
So bed is one of them. We sleep in a bed, but I don't think anyone did any tests to what we lose as humans, or even if they have the technology to find out what we lose as humans over time from sleeping on a bed as opposed to a harder surface.
Okay.
So I remember hearing when I was younger, Jackie Chan slept on the floor, and that kind of stuck with me. I don't know why, but it did. And then about 9 months ago, I started sleeping on the floor, and I fall asleep like twice as quick now going to sleep on the floor than I do in a bed. I don't toss and turn. I'm just there, like legs crossed, hands in. I just boom, I'm out so quick, and I wake up fresh as well. I get out, and you don't want to lie in bed.
So what do you mean? You lie on the floor like?
I have a duvet, like a double duvet, and I lie on it and then fold the other half over me on a pillow. I'm trying to lose the pillow now because I don't think we're supposed to have pillows either. I've got a friend that does it because it's supposed to. You can straighten your spine right up to the tip of your skull.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I've read a book on by this quite an eccentric family that only ate raw food, and
that's what I've started to do. So I'm vegan, and I'm pushing towards raw vegan.
Okay,
go on. Anyway.
And so they, towards the end of the book, the guy was saying how the family who solved all their health ailments through eating raw food.
I've heard that so often.
They'd also started sleeping on wooden boards. That were very hard wooden boards, and apparently their sleeping patterns had improved tremendously. So when I hear you say that, it makes me think I'm probably going to try sleeping on the floor tonight.
There you go. That planted the seed of thought, and then you heard me say it again, and that's all sometimes people need is that second, someone to hear it from somewhere else. The other one is shoes as well, and you're barefoot, Brian.
Yeah, all right. I'm barefoot.
I saw a really good
talk. Can't believe you told everyone.
I think it's great. There's a spot in the middle of your foot. And you know about reflexology, there's a point in the bottom of your foot for every point of your body. And that's why we're supposed to walk barefoot on the ground.
It stimulates all those reflexology points.
Yeah, and it connects us with it. We're electrical beings before we're even chemical beings. And the dead centre of your foot, there's a point called kidney 1, and that's connected to, I think that's connected to your heart and everything. And that's like the most important connection we're supposed to have with Earth. And we walk around with rubber soles, don't connect to the Earth all day. We have all this voltage stuck in our bodies from typing on keyboards, laptops, phones. And we go to sleep with it, and that's why we're restless at night and can't sleep. So I got an earthing sheet, which I sleep in as well, inside the duvet that plugs into, in English sockets, you have the top plug connects to the earth. So I plug it into there, and there's these fibres that go, all the, what's the cycling, Tour de France cyclists all use this.
So it grounds you out, basically.
It grounds you out. So all your blood, I saw, there's a really, groundology.com I went on, and there's a talk, and a scientist shows these people's blood cells, and it's, I don't know, it's coagulated. The blood was from being touching laptops and phones and things, and then after 45 minutes of being grounded, all the blood cells had spread out so evenly. It was amazing to see, and so since then
you've got to be kind of careful with this stuff, because I mean it never ends. If you listen to every single person selling a product out there, you'd probably be surrounded in this weird plastic bubble with no interaction with the outside world.
It's true, but you know, I find it interesting. I just find I'm like a life scientist now. I experiment with my own life, and I didn't really know how much my sleeping on the floor was benefiting to me till at Christmas. I started sleeping in the bed again because I was like, I want to just go to sleep in a comfy bed. And then after I got back from Christmas, came back to London, I was like sleeping in the bed for a few days, and I slept on the floor, and I just went to sleep so much quicker. And I didn't know that my good habit was as good as it was until I broke it, and I went back to the old habit, and then I tried it again, and then I actually noticed a difference. I was like, wow, yeah, and that's it. It stuck me since.
What other cool stuff like this have you found? This blows my mind.
Just
don't tell me you don't take showers and stuff anymore because of some weird electric current.
Yeah, not to do with that. I cut down on showering every day or twice a day, and I cut down to every 2 days now because your skin releases all the natural oils it needs to, and if you shower too often, it washes them away and it ages your skin quicker. So
that's interesting.
I try to shower every 2 days now.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of keeping water off your face like on a regular basis.
Really?
It just dries your skin out big time.
Yeah.
More than you would think.
Yeah,
is that why you're still so good looking at 41?
I mean, you know,
right?
there's a lot of reasons. But I'm going to pick up a grounding bag after
Genetics,
this.
lack of water.
No, but I actually slept on the floor when I had some family visiting, and like for the first couple days, like my back kind of hurt, but then it stopped hurting.
It gets better.
And I was like, man, I really like this.
Yeah.
And as far as the reflexology, man, I'm always walking around on the rug barefoot when I get home, and I twist my feet into it. And
there's a Thunderbolt project on it, and
what's the
video?
Thunderbolt
The Thunderbolt project talk about the universe is electrical. Like everything in it is electrical. You've seen those pictures where it shows like a cell and a galaxy that look exactly the same. Mm-hmm. It's all about that kind of thing. And it's like an old fat white dude talking about how good being barefoot is for you. And I just like, because obviously you hear it from hippies and people like that, but then to hear it from this scientist who's looked into the actual technology behind it and everything, I find that amazing. And like I was saying, we wear shoes and then they start looking cool, and you know what I mean. They've developed to this. Nikes have all these rubber soles, and who's really checked what we miss out on? Mm-hmm. And if they did find out what we miss out on, it's too big an industry now for someone to go, hey guys, you should stop wearing shoes. You know what I mean? Who's going to do that? Who's going to go up and speak against Nike saying? And the people that do aren't really the ones that are in a position to talk. So
just common sense. Everyone would think you're crazy.
Yeah.
I heard another theory saying we weren't ever supposed to walk on flat surfaces.
Yeah.
And so it totally screws up all your hips.
The concrete floor. How long has that been about for? 100 years? 300 years? I don't know.
Yeah, if you look at the Sherlock Holmes movies, and it wasn't straight.
If you also look at shoes. Shoes are another artificial flat surface that you're taping to the bottom of your foot, and your foot isn't designed to be on this like plank. No. You know, it's designed to spread and accommodate all the imperfections in the surface.
That's what the Vibrams do. They look really weird to begin with, but they feel amazing. Your feet feel so fresh after.
So where do you draw the line when it comes to this stuff? Showering, sleeping on the floor.
I don't know. Just another point on that. Da Vinci was fascinated by the human foot. He thought it was the greatest invention in nature. And he was one of the most. Like, if I could sit at dinner with like 5 people, Da Vinci would be one of the people. Yeah.
Man, that guy. I mean, have you studied anything about Da Vinci?
He was one of the guys doing the first autopsies and stuff, right? In secret and stuff?
Oh, really?
To examine the human body?
And so you see how fascinated he was by the foot, and we just shove it in a shoe, and everyone's got this weird, the last 3 toes are all curved. Everyone I know has got it from wearing shoes.
From wearing shoes, because they cramp your... That's hectic.
Yeah.
Da Vinci's just, what an amazing man.
It's
when you look at, and in every aspect of the human experience, he was accomplished. You know, art, science,
engineering,
medicine, engineering, everything.
Some of the best quotes I've ever read.
I wonder if there's a Da Vinci alive today that we just don't know about. Some guy sitting in a little room somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus could be alive, but everyone would laugh at the guy who claimed to be Jesus.
He would have a YouTube channel. Or maybe he would.
Someone else, that's funny.
Someone was telling me about a book they read a while back, which was based on the hypothetical premise that Jesus came back in our modern age, and the Christians rejected him. Which I thought was
there's a guy in Serbia claiming to be Jesus, and he's built this following. There's 4,000. Vice did a documentary on him, incredible documentary, a Serbian Jesus, and they recently changed the YouTube title to like a cult leader, and I thought that was harsh because when you actually watch it, he gives such good answers that Jesus would give. I can't tell you whether he is or not. Everyone's created in this, of course he thinks he's Jesus, but he's obviously just some loony. But he's not, it doesn't seem like a loony. He seems fairly, they ask him what his favourite food is. He's like, I don't have a favourite food. Foods are meant for different reasons. You eat some. There is no favourite really.
To be fair, people are probably saying the same thing about L. Ron Hubbard back in the day as well, right?
And Jesus, or they thought he was crazy.
Everyone back in the day.
He had some crazy
and then they
realized.
realized.
What's like a month like in your life? Like, I don't even know how you compete in parkour because you explain to people like what one of these competitions looks like.
Yeah, so they build you a massive course. I was recently one in China that was really cool in the Wudang Mountains where Taoism was formed and Tai Chi and all that. And they build a big course. They put some scaffolding bars and some blocks with like 6-foot drops, some like 10-foot drops.
Like in a stadium, they do this?
Sometimes a stadium. Sometimes it's just like in a really cool looking architectural place in the city centre. Like we did one in Brazil. In Tokyo, we did one. Was actually Yokohama. It's like near Tokyo, but it was where they build ships. So it's like a really deep into the ground with levels like this.
Wow.
And then they just built the course on that, so the crowd could like sit on these levels, and it was really cool. Like old
that sounds
ship.
Incredible.
Yeah. And then you have 25 athletes normally from all over the world. They fly them in, and then they give you 1 or 2 days to practice on the course, come up with 1 or 2 runs, and then you have 60 seconds to do your thing. 4 judges. They judge you on creativity, execution, difficulty, and flow. And then they do it overall. Each of them do an overall impression, and you each do the course, and then the top 10 scores get another 60 seconds, and then they announce the winner from there.
Do you like that kind of competition?
It feels horrible
Because it's nothing like
it's
free running.
Exactly,
at all.
it's nothing. It's not the reason we train. But to me, it's just a new challenge, and anything that makes me nervous, I know nothing in life should make me nervous, because it is what it is, you know. So I like to push that feeling of, why do I feel nervous? Like, I can't affect the outcome. Being nervous doesn't change the outcome. I can only do what I can do. Do you know what I mean? I can't. It's not going to help anything. Again, with Ninja Warrior, I did that, American Ninja Warrior, and did quite successful in that. But the feeling before...
What is that?
It's like a course for ninjas. They build like... I'd say check it out. It's on like Challenge TV, but then America started doing their own format of it on NBC.
It started in Japan, right?
It started in Japan, yeah. And it got really popular, and Americans loved it. So they started doing their own trials where the top 10 Americans would get sent to Japan. Then last year was the first year they actually just did it in Vegas, and we did a trials. I was born in Connecticut, so I've got an American passport, so I was able to compete. Because a lot of the other English athletes would love to do it. English people would do a lot more successful, I believe, because of the parkour background. And it really worked for me. I won the semi-final, I won the final in Miami, got flown out to Vegas for the final. But the anticipation of it is horrible, where you sat around. I ran at 5 a.m, the course was soaking wet, because it's just a TV show, and they herd you like cattle. There's like 100 athletes from each region. But again, it's that feeling before it that I really don't like. And so someone once taught me this really weird technique, but it helps so much, where I stood there and I closed my eyes, and I imagined this gold sieve slowly travelling up my body and taking out all the negative energy from me, and it comes up slowly, and then it passes through your head, and you really feel my brain start to fuzz as it gets to the top, and boom, pop, goes out the top.
That's interesting.
Opened my eyes and I smiled, and I killed the course. Like, and I felt all the negatives seem to go. Whether it's placebo or not, I don't know, but placebos work, so that's all that matters.
A gold sieve? A gold...
Yeah, like a... I don't know what you call it, like
a filter?
Filter type thing.
Yeah, sieve is the word.
Like a sieve, like you put tea leaves in or something like that.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
And you just
coming
pull it up.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is I ate like a burger before I went on, and as it got to my stomach, I felt my stomach just feel really like this negativity. Like, I could feel exactly where the burger was sat in my stomach. And
someone once said to me that emotions are just energy that's trapped in the body due to a certain thought.
Yeah.
And so if you consider expand that analogy out, like, so you're sitting getting ready to do your course, and then you start thinking, I don't know what's going to happen, and then that traps
the
negative
thoughts
energy
add up into your body. Yeah.
So I guess being able to identify those thoughts and just disassociate from them or let them dissolve will also let that energy dissolve.
You know what? That makes so much sense. That's exactly what it is.
I thought so too.
The thoughts add up, and then you do feel this buzz around you. And I guess that's what helps release it. Was that?
And some people have negative thoughts that they've been carrying their whole life, like whether it was through a relationship or like some business deal that went south, and then they start thinking, John fucked me over in this business deal, and that creates anger, and then that anger stays in their tissues because they're holding it there with their thought for their whole life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
definitely.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this kind of stuff?
I always say, like, my stepdaughter says she's nervous, and I'm like, you're nervous because it's important. That's what I always tell her. This is a good thing. Yeah. And the buzz you get afterwards from going through that situation.
I think that's again with competitions.
Big payback.
The relief.
After, and without it, you wouldn't be the same person without that challenge and then the relief. And it could be something tiny. I mean, I personally used to get butterflies going to a new jiu-jitsu dojo, even going in there knowing I was going to be fine, but you go in with a new group of guys, and I'd be like, and then afterwards it's like,
I know exactly.
All these endorphins come out,
Mm-hmm. It's again something similar, a lot less like worrying, but the snow outside, and everyone's complaining about the snow, but people forget. People are just worried about the negativity they feel when they're outside and cold, but they forget how good the relief feels when you come inside from the snow and you dry off and you have that shower and you eat your dinner, and how good does that feel when you've been in the cold all day? It's a great feeling. People always think about the negative part being outside, and again, they forget about the relief.
It comes back to not being able to... It's a huge one for me now, Brian, the past few months, is realizing that you cannot trust your mind, because I see over and over and over again things that I'm anticipating to be enjoyable are not enjoyable or disappointing, and things that I'm dreading actually turn out to be pretty fucking cool. And the conclusion I've come to is that the disconnect between what's happening in my mind and what is going to happen in reality, or what is happening in reality, is massive.
Yes.
So my big theory my big attempt for 2013 is to move beyond the mind, just to stop living in the mind.
It's to live with the heart, though. That's the thing, is the more I've followed, and that's why I've become successful in freerunning, is because I've always followed my heart. And the more I seem to follow that, the more successful I've been and happier I've been in what the outcomes. The universe has rewarded me for just following like my gut feeling and my heart, whatever you want to call it.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, what's an example of that over the last few years?
Well, I was supposed to go to university to do a maths and physics degree at Loughborough. And I was making not really enough money to live off freerunning, but I was still at home, so my parents supported me while I deferred it for a year, but they really didn't want me to do it. They wanted me to go to university and do this. And I took the chance just to pursue my freerunning career, and every year it's got better and better, and every year I've travelled into new countries I've never been to and making more money from it, and then this path has just continued, and the more I've learned that, the more I try and give back and continue to live through the heart. And the negative is that when you live through your mind, you create these negative thoughts. It's just your creativity running wild with negativity, like you're being creative and using your imagination towards negativity and creating these doubts and these fears that haven't actually happened yet.
Instead of channeling it towards something positive.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
What are some of the critical decisions you made with your heart, do you think, as far as your career went on? Were there a couple like zigs where you glad you didn't zag?
Yeah, it's like moving to London was one, because I really had no idea how to live on my own. But you don't know until you do it. And since I moved to London, I've earned more money. I'm able to be in a position where I can meet my team, my production team easier, and my freerunning team easier, and all my flights when I travel are from London. And if I was to remain in Derby, I don't think I could push out the things I've been able to push out from that location. And it was worrying to me, but I know it doesn't sound big to everyone has to move out of the home at some point, but I was 22 and London's a big, busy place. And I was like, you know what, you've got to take a chance and life will reward it. And it's already rewarded me with I don't know, I've discovered so much.
Brian always speaks about something, I can't remember what the exact context, actually I can't remember the context, but he says you should always swing for the fences, and I never forgot that when you told it to me. I'd rather be the guy who swings for the fences and strikes out than the guy who bunts and gets the first base. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, because otherwise you're not going to make a difference in this world. And that's my aim, is to help change the world for the positive and
good for you, man.
Spread happiness, man.
Do you think like the population density of London like adds to the amount of ideas you get in your head or your own creativity?
No, it's a negative place.
Is it really?
There's so many insecure people in this place, and people that don't want to talk to each other. And it's crazy when I go back up north and you're in the shop buying something from the corner shop, and they talk to you a little more than they do in London. You're like, wow, you actually care about how I'm feeling, or just you ask me a question that normally in London they're
or
so
you pretend at least.
Yeah, at least or whatever. But it seems genuine, and in London they just care about their business. And sometimes people are angry that you even shop in there. They don't want your customer; they just want your money as quick as possible.
Is that offset by like positivity as far as like all these new ideas or the energy levels?
It's a real battle, but I'm just in a better position in terms of I can get more done. Like video wise, I live close to my production team. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment now, so I'm not sharing my space with any other mindsets. I can just try and keep as much positive energy.
Do you spend a lot of downtime with yourself, or do you spend a lot of quiet time? Or?
Not too much. I try to, but because if you can't hang with yourself, man, you're gonna have a problem in this world. Yeah, and a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people are addicted to hanging around other people, and I do. I mean, we are social beings, and we should be able to be around other people. But if you can't sit and think about your own life and things that make you feel guilty and try and change them and then work towards the positives.
Or addicted to like a media device or like an iPhone or something.
Dude, I'm so addicted to that.
It's a horrible.
I'm trying to like ride the tube home and like not put input in myself, and it's hard.
Do you listen to, when you say not input, no music even?
I mean, I listen to podcasts sometimes and I still want to like, look at something else. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong?
It's not enough anymore.
Meditation's easy because you have to shut off. I find that relatively easy, but somewhere in between, like that nothingness.
Like when your battery dies on your iPod.
When you're not planning it and you're forced to have no media.
I hate that we have that feeling towards it. I would love if the whole world deleted Twitter and Facebook. I would just be like, yes, I'm going with you. But because it exists and it's such a great like output for me, I just think I just have to master the art of like not using it as much. But when you have so many thoughts running through your head that you feel you might be able to help the world if you spread them, and it's an egoic thing, but it's where it comes from. But
I know what you mean when you were asking about London. When you were asking about the energy of the place, and I think it's again the classic double-edged sword. Everything in life is a balance, and for London, on the one side there is that massive creative spirit here. That someone was telling me how in other parts of the world, people in creative industries respect things that are created in London a lot more than things that are created in other parts of the world, because they know how dense the energy and the population and how much is being created here, what like a tumultuous sort of city it is.
There's that saying, like in New York, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Pretty much. But on the other side, man, yesterday it hit me, or the day before. When were we working? Yesterday, yeah. When I was on my way back from the studio, it was rush hour, and I was at Euston Station, and I just stopped. There's a Marks and Spencer's there, and I stopped to buy something to eat, and I literally just stopped, and I was just looking around, and people are feral. They're feral.
It's a station too, but
But still, I mean, it's like no one is present. Everyone is just like, and they're not in a rush to go and solve or to go and cure cancer. They're in a rush to go home and eat their TV dinners.
See, now you're projecting on them.
But it is kind of true. Come on.
I didn't mean to say not everyone in London is insecure. There are amazing minds here. It's just trying to filter through.
See, I'm willing to separate the chaff to get to the wheat, and like we can do this show in London. We can meet guys like Tim here. There's so much upside that I guess I'm willing to take the downside. And if I lived in Tulsa, no offense to Tulsa, Oklahoma, that I just think that without that input of all these ideas, I would be.
Yeah, it's true. It's where a lot of the great minds are as well. So I've met some incredible people, some really good friends here that just think like me, that aren't as available in Derby and that.
Yeah. Tim, one of the reasons I wanted to get you in here, and I met you like 3 months ago after the Fukan interview, we were just talking, and I mean, I saw this series that he made called Life in a Handstand, and Tim's 24, and like you'd think his latest video would be his latest backflip, or his latest video would be his competition doing this thing, and then he goes out and does this whole series about his life in a handstand, and the first one is like him going to the tube, and he's like filming it like in the outside world, and he's like going to the tube. But you get to the fifth one, and he's like kicked out of his house, and he's homeless, and he's begging on the streets, and like the end of the video, dude, you're crying on a handstand, right? And like your fucking tears are rolling down your eyes, and it's like fucking Jesus Christ. Well. Yeah, then you piss yourself at the end. That was real. Well, I'm not surprised with you. That it's real. Man, but I was just like, okay, you don't have to be doing these videos. No. You're going out of your way to doing these videos, and just put them up on the web to be creative. Yeah. I mean, they were really well shot with a production team, and so I was just like, okay, we got to get this kid in here and find out what the fuck are you doing.
Yeah, I just wanted to be different, man, and I wanted to hit people in a different way. Like I don't ever think there's ever been a crying scene in a handstand before, so I wanted to do that. I mean, I had
definitely not been a pissing one either.
Pissing, so I was trying to hit, two birds with one stone with that. I thought, fuck it, I'll do it. Like I'm dry, I'm showered like 100 times since. It's not a problem, but people are so afraid to commit to these things. And you see a lot of the best artists, like Tom Hanks or someone like that, as an actor, is not afraid to commit to a role so much. Even Sacha Baron Cohen is one of my big inspirations. He did Ali G, and
I was actually watching that last night.
Which one? Borat or Bruno?
I was watching Ali G in the USA, the Bruno and the Borat ones. Just like his
commitment is incredible, and that's what makes great, inspiring art to me. And even people like Jackass, people think they're stupid, but they're all still living today. They're
most of them. I didn't know one Jackass died.
Okay, so Ryan Dunn, yeah. But I mean, he was drunk driving at 100. It happens, It's whatever. But
so how do you make yourself cry? I mean, you're not an actor, but you are kind of.
Yeah, an actor, I tried to draw. I want to be an actor. I try to get into that, but I think that's a good way to. Like Jackie Chan was acting, and he was doing his things as well. So I'd love to do that, but I don't want to. People will say, "Oh, do you not want to go and be a stuntman?" And I don't want to be someone's double. I feel like I've got something to say, and I really don't mean that in an egoic way. That's the thing, is I don't want to sound like I want to be this famous dude talking to and preach to people. It's not from there, but I just see so many famous people like Joey Essex or these Snooki from Geordie Shore, and I just think, why do they have a right to speak, and people are listening to them, and they're just wasting their lives?
Fuck, dude, anyone who listens to Snooki from Jersey Shore is...
A lot of people do. And I remember you told me that. You said you weren't comfortable being famous, and then a while ago you had made peace with yourself, and you're like, no, I'm going to actually take this baton given to me and use it.
Yeah.
Can you explain what you were talking about?
I mean, look at people like Martin Luther King. What a difference he made, because he.
It's quite a comparison to make yourself.
I'm not making myself or Gandhi or anyone like that. But if these people didn't exist and they did just shut off their thoughts and thought, no, I'll just get on with life as it is, they can't make a difference. And
well, think about how you've already. I'm sure you're not Martin Luther King. You probably don't have as big of what's the word I'm looking for?
Following?
Not following, but like platform from which to
yeah.
to broadcast. But
Not
you've come on
yet,
London Real. A few 100,000 people are going to listen to this, and maybe 500 of them are going to start sleeping on the floor, and it's going to improve their posture. You know, so you've done something
That's
with
it.
that.
You have to start somewhere, and this is just the beginning for me.
And that might not have happened if you had just gone to university and studied physics.
Completely.
You know?
No, I'm very proud and grateful for where I've got to at this point. I just want to continue like researching life and making the discoveries I make that make me feel happier and you know, calm with what goes on.
Where is Life in a Handstand going? I think you told me. Did Channel 4 like pick up and
they
fund
did,
a
and
couple of your episodes?
Episode 4 was the homeless one, and episode 5 was one Channel 4 gave me funding for, and they actually gave me the idea. A guy called Mike Christie, who directed Sebastian Foucan's Jump Britain that he was in.
Right.
He's still got connections with Channel 4, and he gave me the funding and said, how about a girl gets mugged, a handbag gets mugged off a guy, and you're in a handstand, you catch this mugger, and I put that video out. Then episode 6, I've got a few like celebrity type friends, Example and Ellie Goulding, and a few other people I wanted to get involved and do like a house party scene where I got totally trashed, drinking, smoking in a handstand. I thought it'd be quite a cool thing to shoot, and they would help obviously push. If that was out, you'd see the rest of the series would hopefully boost views if these celebrities were to be involved.
So have you shot this sixth one?
I haven't yet because it's hard to get people like them in the same place at the same time.
Okay.
Can you do a handstand, Brian?
No. I mean, can I hold it and walk on my hands?
Can you do a handstand against the wall?
No.
Dude. Okay, I can walk on my hands not very far, and I can do a handstand against the wall every now and then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I can do one against the wall, but I can't do one on my own.
So you know how ridiculously impressive what he's doing is. How long can you hold a handstand for? In depth?
Not even that long, you know. It's more
clever editing or what?
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, but you walk downstairs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like drank out of water.
Yeah, it's like a minute and a half, but like I try and be more creative in it. There's no reason. It gets boring after a minute. There's no reason to go beyond that.
He eats in a handstand and smokes in a handstand. How come that homeless one spoke to me so much? I mean, God, it was really raw, and like you're out and you're eating like other people's food.
The soundtrack helped as well.
Yeah, the soundtrack was really dark, and then you're smoking, and then you just start crying. I don't know, dude. Maybe something's wrong with me.
Yeah, people thought I was some depressed guy. I like grew a little goatee, even though it was really minimal for what I can grow, and my hair was out. But
you just shoot on the streets?
Just shoot on the street. It was in Derby because in London I thought that wouldn't be too fun to film. But when I was in a sleeping bag, some woman walked by and said to her son, "Hey, you don't want to end up like that guy." Like,
Are you serious?
Yeah, seriously, man.
Brian, you know what I want to do?
Footage.
We have to do this for London Real, and London Real on the scene. We have to dress up like homeless people and spend a day sitting outside a tube station begging. Do you know how good that would be for us?
Wow,
you know, just as like a spiritual exercise, just to like.
So we don't have to film it; we can just do it.
We could probably film it as well, but like with a secret camera. I'm not like have a big cruise that it detracts from the experience, but I think that would be an amazing thing.
See how people treat you. That's the thing is, if I've got money, occasionally I'll give homeless people. I prefer to give them food, a banana, some fruit, or just say hello. Just say good afternoon. I've not got anything for you, but you know, God bless, whatever. And often they're polite. There's one guy in Derby who I didn't have any money. There's one guy in the homeless video, I give him money every time I see him. He sells Big Issues, and he told me a story. He's a super nice guy.
He's in your video?
He's in the video really briefly, but he helped me. I bought the Big Issues from him to use in that scene. But then there was another guy who was asking for money, and I was like, I don't have money, but I've got some nuts and fruit. He's like, oh, I don't want that. I want real food. I want to go get a burger. I was like, geez, you're not going to help anything if you think that's real food is getting a burger when I'm offering you like nature's fruits, you know. It's like,
yeah, he's hungry as fuck though. He's like, fuck you, handstand.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that story where I was in there's an Italian restaurant near where I live, and I always used to go there and get a slice of pizza, and became friendly with the guy who ran the restaurant, you know. And one day he always used to give me like a free coffee or a free like croissant or whatever, and this time he gave me these 2 piping hot chocolate croissant that had just come out the oven, and I had just stopped eating sugar at that point, so I couldn't really say no to him, so I took them, and then as I left, there was a guy digging through a dustbin, like just up the street, homeless guy. So I walked up to him and I said, "Hey buddy, these are brand new, but I don't want them, I've just eaten their chocolate croissant." And he looked at them and he was like, "No, thanks, mate. I don't eat chocolate." And I couldn't fucking believe it. Bro. He was digging through the dustbin, right? I mean,
what's he digging for?
But aren't we the douches by expecting them to be thank you and everything like that?
I don't know, dude.
Yeah,
chocolate croissant, like really?
But do people give to homeless people because they expect them to be like, "Oh, you're so great, thank you very much," and then you don't give them the reaction they want? And
there's another guy, Russell Brand, who's one of my heroes. Like that guy knows so much. When you hear him speak, some interviews,
He's crazy.
Blows my mind a lot. Yeah, he's crazy. Like his whole sexual drive is the only like deviant from him being the coolest person I've ever seen on TV. I think, but his whole
maybe that's the reason he is the coolest person.
Yeah, maybe that's help. I think that's helped to get like part of me thinks I shouldn't be as try not to be pure, just do some fucking radical shit and get noticed, and then be I've changed my ways. I've done, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like what he's done,
but your heart's not saying that. Is
yeah,
it?
But it's too hard now. Yeah, it's beyond that point. But he did a series called R.E. Brand, which no one really saw. But he let a homeless guy from the streets of London live with him, and that was
fucking way.
That was amazing. Like the guy, like he helped him out. And there's another one where he went to a gay bar in Soho and jerked a guy off in the toilet. And I thought that's such great immersion journalism. Like he's gone in there. I could never do that, but it's amazing that he's committed, and that's why he's got to the place he's got. You know, when you watch people's routes to success, and no one really knows about this stuff, but his commitment at this level has risen to where he is now. And it's the same with Sacha Baron Cohen. They've both made it huge in America because of their commitment in London.
Brian I did ask a homeless man to be on the show.
Yeah.
Andy at Waitrose, if you're listening, he turned me down.
Oh, did you ask a homeless guy?
Yeah, I said, would you like to be on a show? And he's like, no. He actually done some BBC radio a few years earlier, and they'd asked him about the big issue, and he actually had a lot of things he didn't like about the big issue. And I was like, would you like to come on the show? And he was like, nope, I'm done with the media.
That's insane. Yeah, Brian always wants me to donate a kidney for London Real to get some exposure.
Oh, commit, motherfucker. Yeah. Russell Brand would do it. So if you're looking at, you want to be famous and you're looking at like the next 5 years, like what's, I know you can never say for sure, but where do you want to be? What's ideal?
I really don't know.
Maybe the next James Bond?
My biggest thing lately is I'm being vegan, and I just think, like, no, I don't need to mess with any other being's reality for me to survive. Like, no animals need to be messed with for my survival. I can eat plants, and I thrive off plants. Like, since I've changed to this diet, my joints feel much younger. I feel more nimble. I feel like I'm 12 years old again. My energy is really rocketed, and it's like I don't understand why anyone needs to eat meat. It's like it's such a bad karma that comes with it. This animal gets. I don't know how you guys feel about we talk about this, but
we talk about this all the time.
Do you? Yeah, I mean, it's when an animal gets killed. Imagine the adrenaline running through it, the food it's eaten, the steroids that get pumped into it, and then you're eating that as it's died. That adrenaline, like animals run away when you try to kill them. So, and I couldn't personally kill an animal myself. And how many people in England, if they had to kill the animal to eat it, would actually do that?
One of the quickest ways to, my mother had a friend when I was growing up, and she was a vegetarian, and she had been to an abattoir or slaughterhouse when she was younger, and to this day, if she sees meat up close, she'll instantly start vomiting.
Even that, a slaughterhouse, it's called a slaughterhouse. There's butchers that. We're so numb to the words when it's termed in terms of an animal, but if you put it in terms of a human, it's the most fucked up thing, and they should die for whatever.
I like meat.
I like meat as well, but the thing
everyone says that. I love meat. Burgers was my favourite food, but it came to a point where it's not about me anymore and what I like. It's about the animal that has to die, and I'm irresponsible in just eating it and laughing along at a meal removed from the process that's gone on behind the scenes of it getting slaughtered and
Brian eats steak that's been like massaged and like hand reared and.
Do I? I would. No, I want to go. Actually, I want to go hunt and I want to go.
I don't mind so much if like Joe Rogan he hunts and if you're into hunting, I think that's
why I want to do it. Of course,
that's a bit fairer. if you're killing it yourself, then at least you're in that process and you know what it takes and you're a man doing it rather than just.
I'm still on the fence with that because how are you killing it? It's one thing to have a high-powered rifle. It's another thing to have like. A knife or a bow and arrow.
You would never kill it, though.
Come on, you would never kill it. I would track that thing down and jump on its back.
I want to see that wild boar. But yeah, no, there's something to be said as far as the karma and stuff. But being vegan must be difficult to do.
Yeah,
and
it's easy in England. It's when you go abroad. Sometimes I have to just accept and be vegetarian. And like in Sweden, I was just I had cheese. It's like because we have Marks and Spencers or Waitrose.
So many options.
Yeah, you can just go and get a superfood salad. There's no problem.
And for training, you're better on it, you said?
Much better on it, yeah. It's like I have more energy. My recovery rate's improved. There's all these myths, I think, that come with food until you actually try. I don't think I'd ever not eaten meat for a day or two since I was a kid, you know?
It's also subjective. There's so many different diets and theories, and at the end of the day, you have to test it on yourself. You have to say, what makes me feel good when I eat it, and what makes me feel like shit. And you might do fantastically on a vegan diet, and some people might feel like
there's
shit.
The whole argument that I believe is maybe the blood type diet. Some people's blood types need meat, and some people's don't. Maybe I'm just one of those that doesn't. But at the end of the day, I'd rather die weaker than having 100 cows killed. Like they cause so much less damage to the planet. Me being alive, driving a car, catching the tube, wearing these clothes causes so much more harm to the planet and people around the world than an animal living on a farm in a field. So I have no more right to be alive than he does. So he can take the life. If I have to die for it, then whatever. If I shrivel and die, then that's it.
What do your parkour and free runner colleagues say about your diet? I saw an interview you were given to one of them, and you were pushing your diet on him. You were like, "Oh, are you vegan yet?" See, that's a proper vegan when you're pushing your diet.
Yeah. You know what? I feel so bad pushing it, but then so often I just think, how can people? You're not born eating. If I was born on this planet, I wouldn't go up to a cow and start sucking its tit. I wouldn't go up to a chicken and eat its period. I wouldn't go up and kill, chickens and start eating them. So it's
Do chickens have periods?
An egg is a chicken's period. That's what you're eating when you eat
it.
Not
really. Also, the eggs come out of the chicken and they die anyways. So it's like they come out anyways. Yeah. That's the thing most people don't know.
It's like a woman has a period. It comes out anyway, but it's
yeah, okay. I don't know if I appreciate your analogy.
It's because it's true. I don't think it's funny.
What's your point?
My point is that I don't think we're born, not all of us, to eat meat. Obviously, back in the day, when we were Neanderthals, we were hunting, we were eating meat to survive. But we've evolved since that. We've evolved consciously, but our diet hasn't evolved to match our conscious state. And that's what my main point is, that we've evolved mindset and we're more loving than we used to be and more awake. But yet our diet has gotten worse because we go to McDonald's every fucking day.
That's interesting.
I must say, like, when you see a free runner and you see these guys using their body every day, like some of your peers and stuff, it would seem like the last thing they can do is go to McDonald's. I mean, they are athletes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it also seems like the sport is probably the least into their nutrition.
It's also the childish skater mind, because it's a mixture of like,
I can do whatever, I can eat candy bars.
Exactly. And
the rebel.
You can when you're younger. And that's why the people my age that are free runners that will continue to do that. But you never know when they're 40 how they're going to cope. And I feel like now, you have to do what makes you believe is going to be successful. Like with this diet, I now believe that I can go to 40 or beyond and still be training and active because of this diet. There's nothing negative about it.
Wait till you're 40, though.
Yeah, obviously, wait till I'm 40. But the belief
gets awesome at 40.
But once the belief is there, then that helps it begin. Whereas if I was still eating badly, then I would have less belief in myself. I think, oh yeah, everyone else seems to retire at 30. I maybe have to retire.
It's far more likely that if you eat clean, that you will probably be able to do it at 40 than if you...
all the diseases like cancer and things like that drop off as well, because cancers can only they thrive in an acidic environment, and so plant-based diet is mostly alkaline, and so all those problems go away. Things like pork are the most acidic, and then beef, steaks, and then chicken and fish is the least acidic. So of all meats, if you're going to eat it, try and eat fish because it's a bit less acidic as the others. It's more alkaline. And so,
what are your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah.
You've changed your diet a lot.
I have. Well, yeah, and since we've been involved with the ayahuasca, we kind of changed the diet for the ayahuasca, and then you find out that later you stay on it for some reason, and you stay away from pork, and you stay away from gluten, and you start doing all this weird stuff. So
I was watching one of our first shows a while back, and we were chubby motherfuckers.
Yeah, it was Fat Brian and Fat Nick.
I used to be, man. I used to be chubby. I've seen some old pictures. But that's just a sign that changing your diet is right. Then if you feel better now.
I think gluten itself
was that the main change?
That again,
I think that just drops.
So you don't eat bread again, or you get gluten-free bread?
Eaten bread? No. Well, I mean, if gluten-free bread's around, I might try it. But
what about pasta?
No, I don't eat any of that.
No. I think that'll drop. I think that'll drop 5% of your body weight, and weight you really don't need off the bat.
It's so natural as well. It's not.
Yeah, it's just you just end up staying away from it. That's been probably the best thing.
Really, that's because the thing is, you can be vegan and still eat shit. You can eat fries and bread every day.
Pizza and
you can't eat pizza. You can eat cheese.
Because it's cheese. Okay.
but yeah, so that's another thing is I try to be a bit more gluten free, but occasionally you get caught up with a good tomato pasta or something.
Well, you know that expression, not expression, that Bible verse. I'm quite into my Bible verses as of late. And it's, excuse the pun, but you shall know a tree by its fruit. Like if you look, some vegans, they look incredibly healthy, and they're the ones who are eating, sprouted grains and like organic fruit and vegetables. And then you look at some vegans who are anemic and they're one foot in the grave, and it's because they're living on toast.
That's true. Yeah,
and it's so much, such a broad spectrum.
I think the aim for me is again looking back to nature and not what science has taught us, because science just removes us from miracles. Things that back in the day would be perceived to be miracles. Once science has an explanation, you learn it in school. It's boring now. It's science.
Can you give us an example?
So with food, I just aim to match as many different colours as possible. It's that simple. With a diet, to have a balanced diet, you have orange from sweet potato, something like that. You have
blood red steak.
Yeah, but you get raspberries, blueberries. But yeah, I just tried to get as many different colours. Yeah, and then I feel like I'm having a balanced diet, just completely natural. I didn't need to do experiments on it to find out. And feel fine.
That makes sense.
Then this leads me to a great question to ask a 24-year-old, and we were talking about it earlier. How much longer can you do what you're doing?
Yeah.
I watch those handstands, and my shoulders hurt when I watch your handstands.
I mean, I was doing handstands when I was 10, 11 years old, and I see other people message me, do your wrist never ache? So I think from being a kid, and I was a breakdancer as well, so that really conditioned me at the key periods of my life. What you do from maybe 14 to 18 years old really affects how you are as an adult, as a man, and it's because I was doing that, I think I can do handstands my whole life. That's what I saw a video the other day, and there's like a 60-something-year-old doctor, and he was saying the best exercise for humans to do is a handstand because it gets the blood circulating the other way, and it works muscles that don't normally get worked.
That's interesting.
So I thought that was really cool.
Handstands are incredible. Okay. Man.
But your meniscus and your knees are gone, right?
I tore my meniscus when
Was that from tumbling or from
I don't even know how I did it. The doctors say there should have been one moment, because it takes 7 tons to tear it. There should have been one moment where it was where it was like blam, it hurt, but it didn't. It just gradually got worse, and I thought it was tendonitis till I got an MRI scan. And then I got surgery. And then at winters, for the years after that, when it got cold, I would feel my knees would start to ache and I'd have to not do stuff. And I thought, well, maybe this is it. The doctor said I'd have to retire at 30 or something like that because of this injury, because of previous people that have the same injury, footballers and people like that. Since I changed my diet, my joints have got so much stronger. Like this winter, I didn't feel it at all. I feel like I'm young again.
That's cool.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
that's very powerful. So, but I mean, how are you looking to phase out of when you do this competing, when you're actually out in the cold, jumping from brick to brick? I mean, some of your videos, you're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, we both train, and it's just like one bad jump, and you're jacked.
I think follow your bliss is one of the truest things I ever heard. And as long as I enjoy it, I'll keep doing it. If I don't enjoy it, I'll stop. There's no point forcing yourself to do what you don't enjoy. If injuries or whatever so happen, they come and take me out of it, then obviously it will be a tough few months, but eventually I'll find a new passion in life, and if that makes me peaceful, then I'll continue to follow that. That's it.
Which you're doing that with your videos anyways, right?
Yeah, and I'm starting to document other free runners in the community there's no one really documenting it, and this is, like I said, it's that key period in the sport or art, like the Bronze Brigade, where I feel someone should be documenting it, and who better to document it than someone that's on the inside of it, rather than these people trying to come and get a glimpse from the outside. I know what goes on, I know what questions to ask the other athletes. So,
would you make a full-length documentary at some point?
I'm hoping that someone will take this footage and make a full-length documentary out of it, but I'm making short documentaries on each athlete and on different teams around the world.
And can you talk about your new channel on YouTube and the deal you cut with YouTube recently?
Yeah. So YouTube contacted me. I'm one of the biggest free runners on YouTube. I was the most subscribed individual free runner on YouTube, and I'm a YouTube partner, so I make a bit of money through that. And then they launched something with Tony Hawk last year. He's got his own, it's called Ride or something on YouTube, and they're really trying to push to take out TV, because with YouTube you can tune in anytime, anywhere in the world other than China or North Korea or something, like that, and see videos, whereas on TV, if you're watching something in Britain, some David Attenborough program, people in America can't watch it till 6 months later, and you've got Oprah Winfrey talking fucking over it when you want to hear David Attenborough. Whereas YouTube, you can watch it anytime, anywhere around the world. And so they're really pushing it. They've realised this now, and they're putting a lot of money into it. So they tested it out last year, maybe 2 years ago. They gave $1 million to 15 different channels to produce regular content, like weekly content. So Wednesday night is this, Thursday night is this.
$1 million per channel?
Yeah. Some of them may be less, some of them may be more, but roughly that much. And the top 7 that did the most successful, they gave them more funding. Some of them they gave double the funding for the next year, and the bottom 8 that they dropped off and said it didn't really work out. So this year I've got funding, not that kind of money, but not too dissimilar from it. They've given funding to my YouTube, to people that manage my YouTube channel, Base 79, to produce parkour content. And because I'm one of the most known, I know all the people around the community. I'm producing 50% of the content for this channel, and they've got 2 other producers, Sam Parham and Julia Angel. And so I've got to produce 25 hours of content this year, which is quite hard considering in free running it takes half a second.
It's a lot for us.
Yeah, it's half a second to do a backflip or something. So I've come up. I pitched 8 different series to them. Some of them are I do 20-minute interviews, which are 52 of them. I've got to do one for every week of the year. Then other series are I do a Walters and Sheaf one with my friend Damien Walters. He was recently
your buddies with Damien Walters?
Yeah,
man, have you watched Damien Walters, that showreel thing?
I just watched the video they did together. So he's a professional stuntman, right?
He just did James Bond. He just won a SAG award for stuntman.
Really?
For James
the last
Bond.
Skyfall?
Yeah, and he's done a lot of films, from Kick-Ass, Hellboy and stuff. But he grew up in Derby as well, man.
No way.
From Derby.
That guy is off the fucking hook, bro.
Yeah, he's got
they're doing this show together. Can you talk about that
yeah,
show you're doing with him?
I did a show with him. We did it like 5 years ago. I shot really badly on a handy cam called Waters and Sheaf, and 2 of the episodes got nearly 1 million views. Just me and him fucking around in the gym. So when I told, we kind of fell out of touch for a bit while he was focused on his movies because he was a gymnast and he went into that. But he's kind of moved away from that a bit now. He's like, yeah, stuntman isn't, you're excited for the first 2 weeks. You're on James Bond for a year. Great. 2 weeks in, you're like, oh, I've got to do this for a year. You get kind of bored being the guy behind the scenes doing go when they tell you to go, that kind of thing.
I bet Daniel Craig gets bored being Bond.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Or does he?
I think he does, man.
Probably a little bit.
But so me and Damien got together again, and with some funding, so he gets paid now, and I get paid, and I can pay the people to film it. And we've started a new series of Waters and Sheaf 2013 kind of thing.
Wow, that's going to be incredible.
We released episode 1 now, is on the internet. It's got 150,000 views
in like a week.
In just over a week. Episode 2 goes live on Friday, and that's a better episode as well, I feel.
That's
and
cool.
We did one. The funnest thing we did was called I was going to do handstand boxing with him. So we put on these masks and boxing gloves, and we had a referee. But then we realised it's kind of hard to balance in a handstand. So we did headstand boxing, and so we're squashed on our heads. We've got a referee who's on his head as well, and like.
Are you punching each other?
And we're punching each other. But he said, don't punch in the face, because if you arrest on your head and you punch in your face, you've got nowhere for your head to go.
Oh,
it's a bit dangerous. So we're just doing body blows. But
doing body blows.
I don't think I've cried that much in my life, because fighting is such a manly thing. And to be squashed on your face, and there's a referee there saying, no punches above the belt, because it's upside down kind of thing. And Damien's face is like squashed like this. And you're like trying to punch this guy in a manly way, but it's just so comedy. Like, it worked really well, and I'm excited to release that. That's in episode 3. That'll be out.
Okay.
That sounds amazing.
That was the funniest thing. I cried with laughter for like 10 minutes straight. It took so long, because I'd get there, the ref would start talking, and I'd just collapse with laughter, and it took a while to.
Sounds cool.
So you're always thinking about the next project to film.
What have you
always
done for me
filming.
lately?
I mean, but you are. I mean, that must be hard. I mean, are you like Madonna, where if it's not on camera, then it's not real?
What do you mean that must be hard? You're like that all the time, Brian.
But I mean, like, he's going to Sweden and he has to document those guys. He's got to think about the next 2 videos he owes YouTube.
Yeah, I shot an I did an interactive game with Damien as well.
Okay.
And that got like 8 million views across the board, because you choose me or Damien to begin with, and whoever you choose, it opens up a new YouTube video. With annotations, you can select it.
Yeah.
And then you go into the new video, and he does a run and ends at a point, and then you choose to do this move or this move. And then you select which one, and it opens up a new video. And we did that with Damien. That was my idea. We shot it in one day, uploaded it the next day, and it's got like 8 million views across it.
That's incredible.
How many different videos is it?
Probably 4 different routes. Each one goes to the same point, so it's like 4 sections like that. So there's 2 routes and 2 routes,
that's so
and then
cool.
each person as well. So it's quite fun. And people hit me up and say, "Oh, that was really, really good idea." And I'm like, "Thanks. I need to do more of that." So I've shot another one in Sweden. I shot one of them with a new guy, Marcus Gustafsson, who's won Red Bulls and stuff previously, and they opened the academy there, so I shot it there. So that's going to be a new video goes up. It's a game where you can play, you choose path 1 or path 2, and some of the paths lead to him falling. So it's like, game over, you have to start again.
Okay. We should do like
Crazy
Nick and Brian, like each asking a different question. You can choose the Nick or the Brian.
People have done that on
right?
YouTube, yeah. You can
And like
definitely look
at the end
into
of one video, the guest is like walking out. Fuck you guys.
What a cool guy you are, Tim. Just in general, I really love the positive vibe and just
Thank you, man.
always pushing the edge, and that's fucking cool.
What people need to do is just switch off the brain sometimes and get on with life, like being
Just
creative.
move, right?
Yeah, just move. Yeah.
Can we slap you in the face now?
Only Sebastian
Maybe that'll
can
be
do
the
that.
picture later. What do you say to the guys that don't understand free running and they're like, "Look, this isn't a sport.
Yeah.
You're not a footballer. You're not punching like an MMA guy. There's no points. You guys are just jumping around buildings like a bunch of monkeys." What do you say?
It's
to
fight
them?
or flight, isn't it? I don't know.
Do you hear that from people? You must get that from the tough guys.
Yeah. But they're just jealous, man. Because they're the kids that would love to be able to backflip if they can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But instead they take their aggression out on fighting each other. And I'm sure a lot of them are actually more grounded than aggressive. Do you know what I mean? They just do it for I heard Joe Rogan once say that like once these fighters have kids, they get more focused and they're really like on point with it, and they're passionate and real athletes, and they're not out to harm the other person necessarily. They're just out to win for themselves. But with what I do, it's just that being that child. It's like I never grew up. Like you got too big for the playground. At about 12 years old, you're too big for the playground. I needed a new playground, and that was it. And just following that, I've never had to grow up. Like I'd create being creative. I turned the world into a playground. The obstacles
Cool.
from past.
But in a place like England, where I mean, football
It's
is
a great
the
place,
only
yeah.
sport, and then there's like nothing next.
Cricket and rugby
Yeah.
somewhere down there.
But I mean, do you get compared to a footballer? Like, you know, that's a real sport. That's where they make the real money and get, you know,
Well,
get the
that's where
girls.
it's an
And what
art
you're
or
doing.
sport. I think there's a different. I think there are people within free running that are sport stars,
Okay.
and there are people that are artists. And I try and be an artist. You know, where sport there's a structure, and you learn the foundation moves, and you try and do them as many different moves as you can off different things, and that makes it the sport that you're following the structure. Whereas an art is where you are trying to be different and unique. And Rodney Mullen once said the best way to serve skateboarding for him, he realized, was to be as individual as possible. So it shows like it widens the whole
so cool.
sport. So that's what I took that on board. I was like, cool. The best way for me to serve free running is not to follow and copy other people's moves. It's to be as individual as possible and push the branches.
And what else do you see in the future doing that's like staying individual? I mean, you're obviously on YouTube. You're still competing, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
What's that, you know, what's that other crazy iteration that you want to push to in the future?
Yeah. I don't know, because there are all these kids coming up these days. They don't need to wait for Christmas to get a skateboard from Santa or whatever. With free running, you just put on some trainers and go. And I just want to show adults that it's not, I mean, free running isn't about how good you are. Anyone can do free running. You can go to the tube station, and instead of walking all the way around, you can just hop a railing. That's free running to a degree. It's being open-minded and not just seeing this route that's already laid out. It's actually opening your eyes and go, okay, I've got a bit of energy today. I can just step over that railing. I'm going to do it. It's like, and the thing is, people will look at you strange to begin with, but if enough people open their eyes and start to do it, it could become normal, and it won't be strange to be out of the normal. And it's, I don't know, being as weird as possible is the best way to serve the world, I think.
We had a guest, Gregory Sams, and he said the advice his dad gave to him when he was a kid was always stay off the beaten track.
Yeah.
And it's the truth, man.
That's good advice.
That's very good advice. Yeah.
What I mean, I mentioned Bond earlier. I know he's retiring in a few years, but like,
What Daniel Craig is?
yeah,
Okay.
he's like
I think
more
he's bored of it.
or
Yeah.
something. I mean, I guess you would after a while. And I'm not saying you would make a good Bond, but you never know. But I mean,
I watched the last one and I thought 15 years Bond.
you
Yeah.
could be the old Bond.
Yeah.
Kind of like the old Bond. But I mean, like, do you want to be in those kind of movies? Or do you want to be in a Jackie Chan movie?
Yeah,
or?
if I was an actor, I'd love to do that kind of stuff. I recently did a Ellie Goulding video, and she was texting me and said, "Do you want to be in the video?"
You told me this.
Yeah. And then I was like, "Yeah, cool," thinking that they wanted me to be free running. And then the next thing I get a call from the director, "Oh, you're an actor, right?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. We want you to be her ex-boyfriend. You've just broken up and you're crying in a shower." I was like, "Cool."
Had they seen you cry on the handstand videos, or are they?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and did they want you to do it in a handstand?
No. So there was no free run, no handstand. I was
Okay.
just, and half the day I was just in bed with her topless, like she was all over me. And
Sounds like hell.
so yeah. So that was like the start. It was so strange. I made that decision. Fame is possibly the right way to go because of these idiots like Snooki and that having a voice to the world. There's nothing wrong with me having a voice. And literally 2 days later, I got that call, and it was part of the acting and things like that as well. So going forward, that's what I want to do.
That's crazy. Yeah, spoiler alert, he's actually naked in the latest handstand video, so avoid that, or not, depending on who's listening.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about Red Bull. And they sponsor a lot of the free running stuff. They
Yeah.
sponsor a lot of the extreme sports stuff, and they have tons of money.
Man, they should sponsor the show, judging how much you drink.
I know, right? But I mean, do you think twice before you? I mean, you probably don't drink energy drinks, but yet they probably paid your salary.
Yeah.
Do you have any conflict there?
That's becoming in the last year. I shot an advert in Bucharest for Coca-Cola.
You did,
and I realise now. And that was, I mean, it's fairly decent money, and I was young, and it's
Was it a year ago you were young?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
But that's just an excuse, isn't it? It's bullshit, really. Yeah. But I did it, and since I've thought about it, like, because Red Bull just sponsored their third free running athlete. They've just got up to 3 now.
Okay.
And they always said, I wanted to work with them for years. After I won the Red Bull competitions and things like that, but they already had an English athlete. Now I'm like, fuck that, man. I'm not. If you want energy, eat a banana and drink water. Like, you don't need to drink these Red Bulls. I've got in contact with Vita Coco, which is like they do coconut water, and that stuff is amazing. Like, that's so natural and so healthy for you. I contacted them and I hassled them until they spoke with me, and they've offered me like an ambassador contract for the next year. So that's something I'm only going to pursue. Things like Red Bull and companies that I actually support and I actually can back with my whole heart, because otherwise you're not helping you and you're not helping them. And in the long run, I'd rather take down a company like Red Bull or Coca-Cola with the correct thing like Vita Coke or a good company that I actually back as a healthy option, because kids drinking Red Bull is not good for it.
I actually agree with that. Yeah, I do. As people know,
where's your Red Bull today?
I have my occasion. Not anymore. Not in front of Tim.
That's all right, man.
No, but I mean, I drink sugar-free Red Bull sometimes, but I don't think I honestly don't think we could not have them sponsor this show. I mean, we couldn't. It's like it's the wrong message.
But we technically do have them. They get free sponsorship on the show.
I drink it every now and then. I'll put it
every
in a cup.
now and then.
I'll
This
put
is
it in
the
a
first
cup.
episode you ever not had one in front
But
of you.
I agree. I can't endorse. I can't be like, I have my kid drink Red Bull. She has had a sip.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. I mean, you're right. At some point, you have to kind of decide who you want to be.
Yeah, and
It's all just business, though, Brian.
It is with you.
I saw a really good speech the other day. Neil Gaiman, he's an artist.
Okay.
You're the second guest that's referenced Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, he was at a commencement speech.
Neil Gaiman, yeah?
Gaiman?
Gaiman?
Yeah.
Okay.
This commencement speech was referred to by, it wasn't Gregory Sams, it was the guest before.
The guest before, yeah.
I can't remember who.
What did he say?
He
What was
said
the
a
quote
lot
from
of
it?
great things, but he was saying how to get where he was, he lied in the beginning, saying he wrote for all these big publishers, and then once people had signed him on the basis that he'd done this, he was like, right, I better make sure I do write for these publishers after, and he went and then did all that. And he said about, you need to decide what your main goal is, and that's like the tip of the mountain, and every job that you choose to do has to take you closer to the mountain. And so it's things like doing something for Coca-Cola, maybe it took me closer at the time, but now I feel like, he said, if you get to a point when that job's taking you further away and it's not towards your main goal, you need to choose not to do it, because you don't want to just end up circling the mountain and not actually going up it. So if I was to do something, if they come and offered me something again, I'd have to say no, because it is just staying in that same spot and it's not actually taking me closer, which is pushing healthy living and things like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
What do you do to check your ego? Like what can you actively do to check your ego, or do you?
Yeah, I'm constantly checking it, man. Every conversation I have, I feel like, did that get involved there? Or it's like, but life is not about me anymore. But it's about the message that I believe so much to be true in it, and it's about healthy living, because the mind and body are so connected. Like Bruce Lee said it, and it became cliche to our generation now, I think, to say mind and body are connected. But the more I look into it, the more I realise how true that is. And the things you eat, it can make you so happy just from eating the right foods, even though in the moment you may not be happier swapping the pizza for the salad, but in the moments in between, you can be just buzzing and you don't even know why you're happy. You're just like a kid is happy for no reason, and that's how we should be. Just, you don't need a reason to be happy. Once you have a reason to be happy, that reason can be taken away from you. So you should just be happy anyway. And
That's cool.
Yeah, and
Is free running itself very humbling, because it can just give you a beat down? I mean, it seems like you go out there and you are going to get.
No, I've not broken a bone yet. It's
No,
it just takes you in. It puts you in the moment, because if you're still on the top of a roof and you're worrying about your girlfriend that's just broke up with you, or problems with your family, then you're gonna, you're not really gonna be successful. But if you're stood on the edge of that wall, it puts you into reality and what's important. It's that moment is, I need to focus now. Let's get on with it.
This recent video he dropped where he's got a point of view camera on him, and he's running up this building. Didn't you get busted by the police in Derby recently?
There's put in the paper that the police are looking for me. The day before, they put out this thing, check this amazing free running video on Derby. This is a Derby Telegraph. The day after, Derby free runner, the police wanted to speak to him, and they said they tried to contact me, and I wasn't available for comment. It's absolute bullshit. It's terrible reporters.
We here at London, we'd be happy to direct you to Tim.
Yeah.
Just ring us.
Because the police don't have better stuff to do.
But he said in the article, there's nothing I did illegal because I was on the building, not in the building. So just so everyone knows, you can stand on roofs and it's cool.
Can.
Yeah, apparently.
Do you think they just wanted to be your friend?
I don't know. They do not. He said it was reckless, and the fact that I had a camera on my head made my concentration less.
Was he referencing the POV video?
Yeah, it was fully
on this video. They climb up on this thing, and he's running on this looks like a 3-story building.
Yeah.
You're running on the edge of a brick thing.
But it's a brick. It's like a foot thick. Yeah.
But on the one side is the high street.
It's like 60 foot.
And when you're doing that and you got the camera on, do you just try to stay in the moment, because you would be dead.
I've
or
done
fucked
that.
up.
Well, I've done that route maybe 10 times before.
Still,
and I've done it a lot slower. And kids, every day, kids walk on walls and the parents hold the handle. They don't even hold the hand because the parents trust the kids. And
slightly
it's the same
different,
thing.
to be fair.
Yeah, but they're kids and I'm an adult, slightly different. I'm an adult, I can do it 100 foot up and it's fine, do you know what I mean? It's not like a railing or anything like that. And people are afraid because of their own realities.
Right. Okay.
But it's not my reality. I've spent years honing those skills and I've done them a million times. The only skills needed for that video, I've done them a million times on the ground and not once failed. So why am I going to fail up there?
So people are projecting their own insecurities or their own conformity issues on you.
Exactly. And it's like, how do you know what safe is unless you push the boundaries of safety? and I pushed the boundaries and found out that's safe. So it's safe for me. So it's safe for me to do that.
That's cool.
Before we wrap up, I just want to, like, that whole conformity issue. Like, so you see the walkway and you see a playground, but we're all taught you're supposed to just shut up and go down the stairs and go to the tube and do your job. And the fact that when you start jumping off the walkway, why is us as humans, like those monkeys, why does it bother us? Even if we're enlightened beings, we're still like, why the fuck is he doing that? You know, well, why?
It pushes you to the edge of your comfort zone, dude. Of course. Like, then you have
It's
to...
not that simple, though. There's something else going on.
But I'm not doing
right?
it to be radical. I'm doing it out of curiosity.
I understand
I think it's that jealousy that I'm still a child, like in my head, and other people have had to grow up. Because you speak to anyone that's older, and you say, "Do you feel any different now that you're 50 from when you were like 22 or something?" Like, no, I'm still the same person in your head, just your body's age.
They all say that. But my grandma says that.
Really?
Yeah, she's like 90-something. She's like, yep, I feel the same.
Same in my head, exactly. So I feel the same as when I was 12 years old. I just like have a bit more memory or something. I don't know, but why should I have changed? Like grown up, I'm grown up when I need to be, and I'm responsible when I need to be responsible. I have an apartment, I pay all my gas bills, everything like that, and I have a car, and so I'm responsible in those moments. But the great part about it is I can still be the most childish fucker outside of that, you know.
Yeah, I always have this. I always say, I'm like a little kid, but in an awesome grown-up man's body, and it's, you know what I mean? It's I understand what you mean.
He says professional child as your Twitter handle, right?
Does it say that? I think I changed that recently.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Still a
cool.
child or something.
That's cool.
You know, I always ask our guests a few questions, and one is, what advice do you have to that 12-year-old kid or that 15-year-old kid who's listening to this, and he's like, I want to be like Tim, and I want to be this and that.
Yeah, don't grow up, man, and don't do it for the fame or for the money. Do, like, follow your heart, follow your art. Like, do what makes you feel like creative, because creativity, you feel like so much love from the universe when you do something creative. When you're trying to follow this path that people said go to university, and if you're not feeling it, then don't do it. Like, you're going to ruin your life that way. Live in this 9-to-5 consumer society, like following it. What are you going to do? Live 9 to 5 till you're 60 years old, then retire, and then what? Like, that just sounds, that's not actually living. Who's actually free in that world? You know?
Fuck that noise, dude.
Exactly. You guys don't do it. You know.
I used to do it.
You were a pro at that.
I still think there's something to that. I mean, it's easy to say fuck that, but there also is a lot of things that come from that as well.
Yeah, but to be fair, you one of the very, very select few that beat that system.
Got out.
Don't you think on your deathbed though you'd be like,
what? Don't do that stuff?
Yeah, if you lived a 9 to 5 till you're 60, 70, whatever it's going to be. And then, I mean, if you had a family and you loved family, like, I think that's great. And you've had the comforts of that. But really, if you're on your deathbed and you think, what have I achieved in my life? I've just worked. I went to school. Alan Watts is the best.
If you put it in those simple terms, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But like, you could look at someone that goes and gets a university degree, and like their CV hits my desk or something, and I'm like, okay, I do know that this guy committed to the fucking bad parts and the good parts, and they made it through and got their degree. And like, that shows commitment, because like they had to get through some hard things.
I'm not saying no one should go to university, because some people can achieve great things by going that path. But then there are others that clearly aren't feeling it; they're just doing it to defer life by another 4 years. You know.
Or I had this theory that the only reason someone goes to university, there's three main reasons at the end of it all. It's either greed, fear, or love. So they're either greedy because they want to get a business degree and make a lot of money, or they're afraid that they're not going to be able to get good employment. And the third is love. They might have an intense passion for physics or engineering or whatever it is. And I guess,
that's everything in life, though, is for fear or love. Every decision everyone makes is fear or love. It's insecurities or passion. You know, it's like,
we need to start making some more love-based decisions, Brian.
I thought you were going to say we need to start making love-based T-shirts. I thought you were going to say that. Like,
we need to start making some bank, bro.
Oh, we'll talk to Tim.
That comes with it, man.
We'll talk to Tim about that. Yeah, right. If you do, so you're saying if you do something you love, that the money will come.
Yeah, definitely. If like, you just have to be patient. You can't expect it. You have to go a few years and just be like, have those questions. Why am I doing this? Is it actually going to work? But then it does, man. If you show the, I don't know, what you put out comes back to you for sure.
That's cool.
It's awesome. Tim, how do people get a hold of you? What's the best way for them to find your videos? All that stuff.
Twitter, really, at Timothy Sheaf, SHIEFF. Facebook, Tim Livewire Sheaf. YouTube. My channel, most of my videos are on 99TIM SHI, which was such a stupid name. It was my school email address, and I had to make a YouTube channel quickly to watch a 18 video or something like that at the point, and then they end up uploading to it, and then eventually 70,000 subscribers later, I've got the most stupid, hard to find name, but 99 TIMSHI.
Right. And the new channel you're doing.
YouTube.com/flow. I actually got my old channel is YouTube.com/livewire. I got the vanity URL, and the vanity URL YouTube.com/flow is all this year. All my content's going to be going out on there. The Walterson Sheaf Show, we got 6 episodes of that. Awesome. 24 POV videos. So
24. Wow.
Yeah, I've got to release 24. So if the first one caused so much stir with the Derby police, I'm excited to see.
Are you going to do some more like drama-based videos or like stuff like your life in a handstand stuff?
I don't know if I have time, but
it takes a lot more creativity.
It does.
You have to write those.
But I think maybe this year is just me making a bit of money, so next year I can sit back and then pick and choose the ones I really want to dedicate my time to, and like you said, delegate the other funding to other parkour freerunning producers.
And will you be doing competitions this year? Are you flying all around the world?
I think Red Bull are doing one in Santorini. They did one last year, and
Santorini,
which was so beautiful place. I was like, as soon as I have a girlfriend, she's coming here with me. But or even getting married there or something. It's such a beautiful place, and just riding around. Okay,
riding around. Fuck up every cool thing you've just spoken about.
That's possibly.
No, that's just me and my own.
Understandable.
That's a whole nother show.
But anyway, yeah, they're doing another Red Bull in Santorini, and I came like 11th last year, so I've got a bit of making up to do. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
Do you still need to place high? Is that still important to you?
It's strange because I want to let go, but then I think that's where ego comes into play. Is that I feel like I know I can still rep it. I got to still rep it.
Rep it.
And there's nothing wrong. A little bit of ego is okay, right?
I think
it makes you rep it.
It gives you personality. That's the only thing is, there was a period in my life where there was this shedding of the ego type thing, and I realized so much about life comes from the ego and how to dissolve it. But then you end up a Buddhist monk and you could be the most boring fucker, and then it's like you need a bit of personality to be. And I started thinking, I like fashion and clothing and things like that. I was like, if this all comes from ego, I want to look nice. I should just grow a beard and be a hippie and wear white robes. But you've got to have personality, and it takes a little bit of ego. It's just how seriously you take it,
I was in the jungle a while back drinking ayahuasca.
Casually.
Yeah. I was in the jungle the other day.
You got some stories, man.
And,
casually drinking ayahuasca.
One of the shamans, we were talking about the ego, and Brian and I have spoken about this a lot, about the ego and how to dissolve it and how to understand it. And she was saying that ayahuasca told her when human beings first appeared on this planet that we didn't have egos and that we were just getting absolutely shredded by the wild animals, and because there was no boundaries between us and anything else. So you'd see a tiger and you'd just be like, that's part of everything, and just walk up to it, as opposed to, and that really gave me a new perspective.
That's amazing to hear. Gee, that's the whole vegan thing is now we're in a position of safety and responsibility. We don't need to kill the animals because they're not going to kill us.
Could be.
Wow, that's heavy.
We should take Tim hunting.
I thought you were saying we should take Tim to Peru.
Yeah, dude.
What's Peru?
That would be. We'll drink some ayahuasca.
Yeah.
All right, to be continued. This episode. That was awesome.
That was beyond awesome.
Yeah, I told you, dude.
I was kind of like,
why don't you trust me more?
We had a free runner. God damn it!
Why don't you trust me more? Yeah. Jesus Christ. No, that was really awesome, Tim. Love the science you dropped us. It'd be crazy to have you back. When you're 34, I don't even know what the hell would happen. Of course, we would be old too. Yeah. But no, we'll be watching your career and seeing how you're doing and stay in touch with us.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thousand blessings on you, man.
Yeah, for anyone listening, we're on Twitter and Facebook, so come check us out if you want to see the extremely good-looking Tim Sheaf and the still good-looking Nick Gabriel.
And the beyond good-looking Brian Rose.
We are on YouTube channel London Real TV. We need to get a vanity channel. Maybe Tim's going to give us the hookup
with the outlook of
with the YouTube people. But we are cranking out hours of content as well. I guess how much are we going to do this year? Probably like 120 hours.
It's as much as it takes.
120 hours. Come on, Tim, step it up. Wow. But we don't do backflips. We just kind of sit and talk. So, anyways, if you want to check us out, do that. Give us an email at info@londonreal.tv. We've got a new sponsor coming up, which is the guys at hover.com. They're a domain name service that's really cool. They just don't charge extra for stuff. They're from the guys from Ting Mobile in the States, and they just are very cool about giving you free stuff that you should have. So check them out. It's hover.com/London Real. We'll be talking about them more for the next few weeks. And that's it. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Until then,
it is about the journey.
Peace, boys.
Listened to one of my lectures, and he went and took the microphone afterwards and said, how you hear about some people going to a party and they take a pill or something and it changes their life forever. well, I just took that pill listening to Greg's lecture, you know, because
It's a good lecture.